South Africa is blessed with an abundance of wildlife, including the Big Five. But this, unfortunately, also attracts poachers looking to kill animals for profit. Well, that scenario is laid out bare by Lord Peter Hain in his gripping new thriller, The Elephant Conspiracy. It's a sequel now to his 2020 novel, The Rhino Conspiracy. And he joins us now to talk about the new book, which I have in my hands right now. Lord Peter Hain, good morning from SN. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure to have you. I just want to quote David Attenborough here. Of course, I see this quote right in front of the front cover of the book. The question is, and I quote, "Are we happy to suppose that our grandchildren may never be able to see an elephant except in a picture book?" Now, I have to be honest, Peter, when I read this, it really did shake me a bit. It was a thought-provoking question because, indeed, it seems we're likely to go that route if the, tragic events around poaching are not addressed, and you do so in this book. Take me through it.
Well, yes, David Attenborough's prediction was uncannily and uncomfortably correct in that around 100 elephants are being killed a day for one reason or another, poaching by international crime syndicates. And this is really the theme of my thriller, The Elephant Conspiracy, is that it's not just the local poachers, are often poor local villagers who do the deed and kill these elephants to get their tusks. But it is also the international crime syndicates that sit on top of them, that go right the way to bosses in Vietnam or China or elsewhere in East Asia, where the ivory from elephants' tusks is very, very valuable on a par with gold and cocaine and the international drugs trade. And then the political corruption, which protects them. And so that's the theme of the book.
The question is why? Does the book answer that? Why do politicians cover these criminal activities and protect these criminals?
Because they get backhanders for it. And South Africa knows only too uncomfortably well the whole saga and scandal of state capture and corruption. It's because corrupt politicians and their officials often get money from these international crime syndicates, and therefore they are protecting them from prosecution, from other attempts to curb their activities. And you're talking about a wildlife trade, an illegal wildlife trade in elephants and rhinos, and increasingly in lions as well, that is on the par with international drug smuggling and crime, with people trafficking, and even the arms trade. This is really big business. And at the end of it, elephants in particular threatened with extinction.
Yeah. I mean, not only do you talk about this dark world of corruption and collusion, Peter, but also the courage of the whistleblower during these trying times. I mean, we've seen some dying, being assassinated. Some have to flee for their lives. And most, the quality of life has been compromised. And you address this as well as a significant part of the story.
Yes, because the whistleblowers, and of course in the case of Bain & Company, the former global partner Athol Williams, is a case in point where he had to flee South Africa to England in order to, as he saw it, protect his life and his freedom. But they do play an important part, and they're very brave. And the story is also about international money laundering that goes alongside this traffic in wildlife and protects it. You were kind enough to describe it as a gripping thriller. This is not a piece of documentary. It is a story, but it is based on real life, uncomfortably on real life.
Now, I want to talk about, the work that obviously wildlife, conservationists and organizations are doing to trying to preserve, our animals and for them not to be extinct. Is this work going in vain? Are they trying their best? What can be done to ensure that we fight against such criminal activity, if any way there's a fight here that can be won, as we're seeing here with some of these wildlife conservationists are doing?
Well, they're very brave conservationists and also rangers who are risking their lives fighting the poachers, because these are war zones in safari parks, for example, where, you're talking about serious military hardware, a lot of technology on the poaching side, and then, of course, on the ranger side to try and protect them using drones and so on. This is a serious battle zone. And it's about the very future of the African continent. A lot of people say, well, okay, it's terrible that elephants and rhinos are being killed, but what does it matter to me? It matters because we're all connected. The whole ecosphere, the whole of the planet, the whole of our existence of the world is connected to each
Right.
other. I mean, elephants, for example, forage and eat and clear paths for other animals such as antelope to move about. They also fertilize as they move great distances in the course of any day. They fertilize and they therefore give life to new forms of nature. So, this is all connected, and ultimately we're connected. So it's not just an elephant in the bush that is being mercilessly gunned down or poisoned, as the case may be in the elephant conspiracy. There's a terrible example of that.
Yeah.
But it is also the fact that we're all connected to that.
Well, before I let you go, Lord Peter Hain, I mean, we're just talking off air about the president's visit in South Africa. And what's your view on the significance of this visit to King Charles III, as well as Prime Minister? I understand there was a meeting, or there'll be a meeting that he needs to attend to before he comes back home to South Africa. But your view, of course, on the Ramaphosa visit to the UK, before I let you go.
Well, it's very important both to South Africa, to President Ramaphosa himself, and I was present on a number of occasions where he spoke to both houses of parliament on yesterday, Tuesday, and then at the banquet at Buckingham Palace last night, where he spoke very authoritatively and compellingly with great dignity and humor. And, he strides South Africa like a colossus, and you're lucky to have him, quite honestly. I'm not saying that he's perfect. There's a lot of criticism. Delivery in the fight against corruption is very slow. The economic situation is very worrying. The power cuts and all of that South Africans cope with in everyday life. But he is a very impressive international statesman. And to King Charles III, this was his first ever state visit. And the fact that it happened to be South Africa, with all its pageantry, and Buckingham Palace yesterday was extraordinary, with bagpipes, a flotilla of bagpipes, if that's the correct description, of around 20 bagmen sounding off the end of the occasion. A real incredible opportunity for South Africa to put itself on the map in terms of contemporary Britain and contemporary global life.
All right, we'll leave it there. And I appreciate you speaking to me. Lord Peter Hain, former British MP, joining me for this conversation, but also author of The Elephant Conspiracy. You can get a hold of your copy of the book. Now, indeed, it is a story leading the fight. Here we're seeing a veteran, seasoned anti-apartheid freedom fighter with his young activist prodigy Thandi and Range Rover Kize and the mysterious sniper alongside as they fight to save animals, particularly the extinction of elephants, according to Peter Hain. Thank you so much for joining us.